right, we're going to see if we can get Andrew to join us. Yeah. Hey, man.
How are you?
Good. You can hear and see me all at the same time on Instagram. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well done,
that's awesome.
Instagram. How's
You
it going,
caught me.
Andrew?
You caught me eating a cracker. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I
A little
noticed
technical.
your handle's different, right? You've added Canadian investor or Canadian real estate investor at the end of it.
Yeah, it's all part of my branding.
Awesome, man. So yeah, do you mind just talking to us about the evolution of your thought process in regards to social media, branding, and all that?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it kind of ties into one of your recent videos that I absolutely loved was the return on time one, and that really resonated with me on many levels, just based on the journey that I'm at, like personally in my professional career and everything like that. But it also ties into the social media aspect, and you talk about having one conversation to many, and the Project Mayhem too, like sort of opened my eyes to repurposing content. Certainly like taking, you take one video, or what I've just started doing like just last week is now like doing, and if I have a thought, I'll go live, have my thought, like when I have the thought, so I capture it, then I post it to IGTV, then I'll take that video and put it on YouTube. And even more so, what I don't have the proficiency right now, but the whole idea of time stamping and the fan art and stuff like that is you can then take that video and chunk it out and use clips for like little snippets, just and then even stills, or like property tours. You could take stills of that and utilize that as learning content. So I mean, there's just so many ways to do it. And like you said, the idea of the one conversation to many. I'm getting coaching from both you and Ben in cash flow, but also Corey McKinnon, and everybody's pushing social media like crazy, as not the future of marketing, but that is marketing kind of nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm starting my journey as a professional real estate investor, and I need to make contacts, network. Certainly during COVID, we see the real value in this, beyond anything else. And the new norm is Zoom calls, and you can even leverage Zoom calls. So I make sure to post every time I'm on a learning platform. I could take a screenshot of this actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super valuable. And not to mention, if I can go on for just a bit longer,
Yeah.
just the tasks that Janelle has us doing, on the surface are not monumentally difficult or anything like that. But, this coming from sort of your social media experts, and you're obviously, a social media guy going way back, and they seem simple, but there's some thought put into what we're getting out of them, and I certainly, the YouTube one was an eye-opener to me and many of the other participants, in that a lot of us didn't even really think of YouTube as like a messaging platform. It's just we've for years and years I've been a consumer of YouTube for information, how-to videos and everything like that. I never really thought about commenting, and I never really thought about the consequence for the poster as well. So if you like their content, everybody says like, click the like button, subscribe, so on and so forth. But you're really doing them a service. It's sort of like almost a PBS ad that says, if you like our content, donate, or else we can't keep going. So it's the same sort of thing. Like, you want me to keep posting stuff, then let me know. I can't see you. Let me know that you like it,
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful point, because so many of us, especially like if we're, say, my age or older, it's our relationship with content always had to be one way, right? It was just like TVs or comics or plays or movies, whatever. But it was literally broadcast to you, and that was that. Where now YouTube and social media in general has bridged the gap where we can have those two-way conversations and we can interact and influence. And I actually want to go back to an earlier point that you just kind of touched upon, but like fan art. To me, one of the easiest ways to get on someone's radar is create content about them, especially if they're already in the habit of creating content. For myself with Stefan Arnio, that's legit what I did. Was I heard he was coming to my city. I was like, hey, to my buddy Dylan, who I knew had read every one of Arnio's books, I was like, let's make a series of videos on Arnio's books and just talk about how awesome they are and what our biggest takeaways were. And sure enough, before he came to the city, it got on his radar, and he recognized me when I went up to say hi and get a book signed. And from that, I was able to build a real relationship. And like literally within less than, I think, 3 days, I was sleeping on his couch from meeting him the first time. Now, that's not going to happen every single time you create a piece of fan art or you try and promote a content creator. But I view it as every time you do that sort of thing, you're buying a lottery ticket. And if you never buy a lottery ticket, I can guarantee you, you'll never win the lottery. Also, this is the only time you're going to hear me encourage people to buy lottery tickets, because certainly I would never encourage that on a financial investment. But from a content creation and relationship building perspective, it's absolutely critical. And I know like it's the fastest way to get my attention. Like when someone asks me to be interviewed on a show, when someone just creates a piece of content about me, when someone literally shows me that they're trying to have a two-way relationship rather than just take, it becomes so much easier to buy into that relationship. Like I now like that person because they've shown they like me, not just necessarily my information, right? When someone's just like only caring about the information, they just want to take, it's way easier to be like, I've answered this question 1,000 times, so why should I answer it again? Where if you've even just gone the step that like, for myself, when I see someone's even hearted or liked, say like 20 stories previously, and then they ask me a question, I'm way more likely going to respond to that than if the first interaction I've ever had with you or your account is you just listing your life story and wanting me to write a thesis back. Because the problem is it's so one way. Maybe you've been watching my shit since day one and you literally were subscriber #1. But if you've never commented, it's so hard to know that as a content creator. So yeah, I really appreciate you just sharing those 2 points because I think they're absolutely critical. I get fired up when I see you like starting your YouTube channel and sharing your real estate journey, just because, again, for everyone that sticks at it consistently, like to me, that's how Austin Yates got to the level of success he's done. And it's why Mark Smith is so well known at this point in time, even though that's not his real name. You know, like when we think about that, that's actually a very powerful example that like Mark Smith can literally have 3 different names or personas or brands, Mark Smith, 7-2 investor, and then his real name. And yet all those names carry weight, but it's only because he's constantly out there interacting both in person pre-COVID, but then online during COVID.
You just gave me so many great ideas in that like 2-minute chat. So I already have my idea for the challenge for the limo tour promotion, and the fan art, the idea of getting in front of people, because one of my goals, like when I'm in my coaching program, one of my goals is to sort of get on that inner circle of all the big names, you know, the Mikes and the Matts and the Sean Allens and all those people. And you just gave me the answers. Just make a post about that person.
Yeah, it's so simple and easy, but again, it's so easy to overlook it, right? Because a lot of times people already feel like they've got a strong bond with that content creator or that successful individual if you've been following them, but it's really a one-way bond. So the moment you start making it two-way, you separate yourself from 99% of the competition.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Well, yeah, thanks, Andrew. I guess before I let you go, do you want to, for the people on YouTube and Instagram watching this, do you want to plug your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's Andrew Cox _ Canadian Reinvestor.
Awesome. So go check it out on YouTube, guys. Definitely encourage you guys to give them a subscribe, you know, give a like and a comment as well. That never hurts. And just keep doing it, man. Just like stay on top of it and be consistent with it. For me, I recently started listening to Tribe of Mentors, I think it was, or maybe it was just on the Tim Ferriss podcast. But Tim talks about when he originally decided to start his podcast, he was like, I'll just make 6 episodes and see what happens, right? And now he's got like one of the most powerful podcasts in the world. And I think about just that power of just making those micro commitments to ourselves. Like, I'm just going to do an episode a week. No matter what, I can probably just do an episode a week, and then I'll do it for a while and then figure it out. But that consistency is just, there's still so much opportunity in the Canadian real estate, social media influencing market. Like, there's just no one really tries hard. So anyone that puts in a little bit of passion, anyone that actually just cares, that it comes through so authentically. And even if you don't go viral, and I feel like I have a good thesis on that, you can still really develop that concept of 1,000 true fans. And for anyone that hasn't read the essay, 1,000 True Fans, I really encourage you to go read it. Because for me, it was a powerful moment when I read that essay and just really put together my thoughts on social media that, yeah, I just need to mean a lot to 1,000 people. And if you mean a lot to 1,000 people, that tribe can essentially support you indefinitely. Like, all of a sudden, like, again, coming from a League Fire perspective, if those people would literally give you $10 each a year, that's $10,000. I'm like, man, if I'm house hacking and got $10,000, I can make that work. And like, that's such a powerful thought, because $10 isn't much. Could I create $10 of value to 1,000 people? Could I create $20 or $30 or $50 a year in value to someone? And what sort of, you know, one impact is that going to make? Because most people interact with less than 200, 250 people a year realistically on any sort of meaningful basis. And the average person spends like 13 minutes a day talking, which is insane to me. Because it's just so easy to get consumed by becoming a consumer rather than actually having two-way conversations, building relationships, and just, you know, putting yourself out there, buying those lottery tickets.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've learned recently, is just the being a certain amount of vulnerability when you're posting, because you come across more authentic and genuine. I mean, hopefully you are authentic and genuine, but it makes a big difference. And, you know, like your recent posts, like posting your team meetings and stuff like that, you really get to see sort of the real people and the real person, like the real Matt Mckeever, and like what you're thinking about having those conversations, and your time is important to you, and so on and so forth. And that like resonates more than probably like an educational YouTube video, to me anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely, for me, it's a balance, because I want to bring in more people. I think that the way, like, literally the way I view it is you just got to trick them by giving them information, because that's what they all think they want. But then once you give them all the information and they realize, you know, Tim Ferriss says that if more information was the answer, we'd all be millionaires with six-pack abs. And it's often about that mindset and just like truly believing that it's possible and that you can achieve whatever that is. And so that's where I like the balance of the content, where like half of it is really just about like teaching, like where's the numbers, and then the other half is like more personal, right? Like showing how do you build a business, how do you try and have real impact, how do you try and lead with integrity, things like that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate it, Andrew. I'm going to let you jump off here though and just bring someone else on, because
thanks for having me.
Long one. And yeah, appreciate you and Project Mayhem. And I loved your piece of art, by the way.
Thanks.
I'm blown away.
McWarhol.
Yeah, and even the title was great. Yeah, I forgot about that.
See ya.
Thanks, man.